I slept beside an alien princess, and her mother found us at dawn. Captain Marcus Hale stood on the terrace of the Aurelian Palace, gripping the railing as the entire skyline seemed to sway like waves in deep water. The glowing towers of Aurelia 9 pulsed with soft blue light, bending and twisting in ways he could not tell were real. Maybe they were moving. Maybe he was. The Aurelian star brew in his hand did not help. It looked like liquid starlight and tasted like confidence, and Marcus had definitely drunk more than he should have. Behind him, the celebration of the peace treaty rumbled like a storm. Representatives from 40 worlds filled the grand hall, all laughing, singing, and pretending the last 6 months of tense negotiations had never happened. Marcus knew better. His head knew better. The star brew refused to listen. "You're staring at the city like it insulted you," a calm voice said beside him. Marcus turned. Princess Saris Vaylor stood there, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the night air. She moved so quietly he almost jumped. Her long, radiant hair flowed like light in slow motion, catching the breeze even when nothing else moved. "The buildings are dancing," Marcus said. Then he blinked. "Or I'm dancing. Hard to tell." Saris lifted an eyebrow. "Both are possible. The palace reacts to your translator implant. Your thoughts change the light patterns. So the city is reading my mind. Only the strange parts," she said with a tiny smile. Marcus groaned. "That's all of it." Sarah's smile faded as she looked back at the hall. Music, speeches, and bright lights crashed together in a perfect storm of ceremony. But she didn't look proud. She looked tired, painfully so. "Another long night?" Marcus asked carefully. "You have no idea," she said. "Every person in that room wants something from me. A deal. A promise. A smile at the right moment. I must play my role perfectly every second." Marcus studied her more closely. From a distance, she looked like the ideal heir, calm, elegant, flawless. But up close, she seemed human, despite not being one. Her shoulders were too tense. Her breathing too controlled. "Sometimes," she whispered, "I feel like a statue they polished and placed on a throne. Beautiful, untouchable, and completely alone." Marcus felt something twist inside him. He knew that feeling far too well. He had spent years traveling between stars, negotiating peace, pretending he never got lonely, pretending he could handle anything. "You're not alone right now," he said softly. Saris looked at him, her expression unexpected, open, almost pleading. "When this event ends," she said, voice shaking, "I go back to my chambers. They are perfect. They are silent. They are empty. And every night, that silence crushes me a little more." She took a slow breath. "Marcus, I don't want to face that room tonight." Marcus froze. This was dangerous. This was complicated. This was absolutely the kind of thing that could ruin a diplomatic career. Sarah stepped closer, just a fraction. "May I stay with you?" she asked. "Not for anything inappropriate. I just can't be alone tonight. Not again." The wind whispered around them. The glowing towers bent like they were listening. Marcus swallowed. "Saris, this is a terrible idea." "Yes," she said gently. "But I'm asking anyway." He looked into her silver eyes, eyes that had seen pressure since childhood, eyes that held fear she tried so hard to hide. And he sighed. "All right," he said quietly. "Come with me." They walked together into the glowing halls, leaving the celebration behind and stepping into the unknown. The kind of unknown that starts with a simple choice and ends with a storm no one can predict. The night was far from over. Marcus led Princess Saris through the glowing palace corridors. The walls shifted from blue to violet as they walked, reacting to their presence. The entire building felt alive, watching them with quiet curiosity. It made Marcus feel like a small animal sneaking through the home of a giant. "This is still a terrible idea," he muttered. "Most interesting choices begin that way," Saris said, her voice calm but soft. She kept a careful distance, hands folded in front of her, but he could feel the tension in every step she took. The palace was silent at this hour. Too silent. Their footsteps echoed in long, empty halls made of crystal and light. Marcus had always thought the radiant dominion was beautiful, but now he realized how lonely beauty could feel. When they reached his quarters, Marcus paused and tried to gather a little of his diplomatic dignity. It didn't work. He opened the door anyway. The lights inside adjusted instantly, shifting to match Sarah's preferred spectrum. The room was simple compared to hers. A small bed, a self-shaping couch, and a single window showing the glittering city outside. It's modest, Marcus said, embarrassed. It's peaceful, Saris replied. Much more real than anything in my wing. Marcus cleared his throat. Okay, ground rules. You take the bed. I take the couch. I will not let the future ruler of your people sleep on this thing. The couch vibrated in disagreement, trying to change its shape. Marcus slapped the armrest. Stop that. You're making it worse. Saris laughed, not the careful, polite laugh she gave diplomats, but a real, warm laugh that surprised both of them. Marcus felt a strange pull in his chest. Saris sat on the edge of the bed, her posture slowly relaxing. Can we talk a little? I don't want to sleep yet. Sure, Marcus said, sitting on the stubborn couch. What do you want to talk about? Earth, she said immediately. The real one, not the version from Ambassador reports. I want to know what you miss. Marcus thought for a moment. Rain, he said. Real rain falling on real streets. My sister's terrible cooking. The way humans laugh too loud when we're tired. Small things. Saris listened closely, her eyes glowing brighter. I wish I had small things to miss, she said quietly. My life is all ceremony. All rules. No silly memories. No mistakes allowed. She hesitated. Do you know, she said, that I've never been allowed to choose my own friends? Every person near me is assigned, tested, approved. It feels like my whole life is a performance. Marcus leaned forward. You don't have to perform with me. She looked shocked at first. Then her shoulders lowered, just a little. Tell me something about you, Saris said. Something real. Marcus grinned. I once accidentally called a warship commander grandma in her native language. Saris gasped. What did she do? She laughed so hard she nearly fell out of her chair. Saris's cheeks lifted in a bright smile. I want moments like that. Moments where I'm not the princess. Just, Saris, you deserve that, Marcus said softly. For a long time, they talked. About her strict teachers. About his first failed mission. About the stars they had both traveled under. Little by little, the tension in Saris' face melted away. She wasn't a princess here. She was just a lonely young woman trying to hold herself together under impossible expectations. After a while, her voice got quieter. I think, she said, this is the first night in years I've felt like a person. Marcus opened his mouth to answer, but she suddenly lay back on the bed, breathing slow and steady. She was exhausted, not from the night, but from the life she had been forced to carry. Get some sleep, Marcus whispered. She nodded weakly. He laid down on the couch, wrestling it into a shape that vaguely resembled something humans could survive on. The lights dimmed to a gentle glow. It should have been peaceful, but Marcus had no idea their quiet night was already collapsing around them. Far away, across the palace, alarms whispered softly through the security network. Princess Saris Vaylor had vanished from her chambers, and someone important had just noticed. The storm was coming. Marcus did not know how long he had been asleep. One moment, he was drifting in a dream about earth rain. The next, a soft whisper pulled him out of darkness. Marcus! He blinked, confused. The room was lit only by the faint glow of the living walls, casting soft ripples of blue light across everything. For a moment, he thought he was still dreaming, because Princess Saris was standing right beside the couch, dressed in loose palace nightclothes, her silver hair falling over her shoulders like a waterfall. What's wrong? Marcus sat up quickly. Is someone here? Did something happen? Saris shook her head, but her voice wavered. The bed is too big. Marcus blinked again. Too big. It's like sleeping in the middle of a frozen lake, she said quietly. There's so much empty space around me that it feels like I'm sinking. The silence gets inside my head, and it won't stop. She took a shaky breath, hugging her own arms. I thought I could handle it, she whispered. But I can't. Not tonight. Marcus rubbed his eyes. It took a moment for his tired brain to process what she was asking. When it hit him, he froze. You want to sleep here? He asked slowly. On this couch. She nodded once, small and fragile. This is a terrible idea, Marcus said, already shifting over to make space. I know, she said, but I'm asking anyway. She sat down beside him. The couch, insulted by the sudden change in weight, immediately tried to reshape itself. One of its cushions inflated. Another twisted sideways. A metallic groan came from deep inside it. Saris startled. Is it alive? Probably, Marcus muttered, wrestling the couch back into stillness. It hates me. We're not on speaking terms. A small, shaky laugh escaped Saris. Marcus felt something warm in his chest at the sound. They settled awkwardly, shoulders pressed together because the couch was definitely not built for two people. Marcus had to angle his arm around her so she could lean without falling. She rested lightly against him, her breath warm and uneven. "This is ridiculous," he whispered. "Extremely," she agreed. They shifted again, accidentally bumping knees. Marcus tried to straighten his spine, but hit the couch's rigid backrest. Saris tucked her legs in and accidentally jabbed Marcus' ribs. "Ow. Sorry. No, it's fine. I didn't need functioning lungs anyway." That made her laugh again, soft, tired, but real. For a while, they lay in silence. The peaceful kind. The kind Marcus had not felt in a long, long time. He could feel the tension slowly draining from her body as she breathed deeper, calmer. "The bed has perfect temperature control," Saris whispered after a minute. "It adjusts to every heartbeat." "This couch has hopes and dreams," Marcus replied. "Mostly the dream of crushing my spine." She smiled. He felt her smile against his arm. "Why is this better?" she asked softly. "Why does a terrible couch feel safer than a perfect room?" Marcus took a slow breath. "Because perfect things are lonely," he said. "And lonely things get heavy." Saris closed her eyes. "My whole life is perfect," she whispered. "Perfect posture, perfect speeches, perfect behavior. And somehow, all that perfection feels like a cage." Marcus looked down at her. She wasn't the glowing, powerful princess the galaxy admired. She was just a young woman who had never been allowed to be imperfect. "You don't have to be perfect here," Marcus said. "Not with me." Her fingers relaxed. Her breathing softened. "Thank you," she whispered. "Just for this. For being here. I didn't know how much I needed it." Marcus didn't know what to say to that. So he didn't say anything. He simply held still and let her lean into him. Minutes passed. Her weight grew heavier as sleep pulled her down. Marcus felt exhaustion tugging at him too. The couch creaked beneath them like it was offended but resigned. He closed his eyes. This moment, peaceful, fragile, completely wrong, was the last thing he remembered before sleep swallowed him again. But somewhere far down the palace corridors, alarms were still quietly flashing. Guards were searching. The system was waking up. And the Radiant Empress, the most feared ruler in the Dominion, had just learned that her daughter was missing. She was already walking toward Marcus' room. She would arrive soon. Very soon. And the innocent, cramped way Marcus and Saris lay on that couch would look anything but innocent to a furious empress. The disaster had already begun. They just didn't know it yet. Marcus woke to a sharp sound. A voice. Firm. Low. Angry. At first, he thought it was part of a dream. Then the room lights brightened in a slow pulse, reacting to sudden movement. Marcus blinked himself awake, then froze. Standing in front of him was Empress Illyria Vaylor, ruler of the Radiant Dominion, mother of Princess Saris, and the single most intimidating person Marcus had ever met. Her ceremonial armor glowed like a star locked inside crystal. The sharp, radiant edges of her crown cast terrifying shadows across the room. Her golden eyes were fixed on Marcus with a look that could have melted metal. For palace guards stood behind her, weapons unholstered but not yet raised. Their armor hummed with energy, ready to fire at the slightest gesture. Saris was still asleep against Marcus' shoulder, her hair falling across his chest. Marcus' entire soul left his body. "Oh no," he whispered. The Empress spoke first. Her voice was soft. Too soft. "Captain Hale," she said, "would you like to explain why my daughter is in your arms?" Marcus tried to stand, but Saris' weight kept him pinned. He felt like a mouse beneath the gaze of a cosmic lion. "Your Majesty," he said, voice trembling. I can explain." "Can you?" she asked. Every guard stepped slightly forward. Marcus swallowed. "Well, yes. I think I can. Technically." The Empress lifted one hand. Silence fell like gravity. "Last night," she said, "my daughter vanished from her chambers. Her guards searched the entire palace. They believed she was kidnapped." A muscle in her jaw tightened. "And instead, I find her here, sleeping beside you." Marcus opened his mouth, but his brain refused to function. Then Saris' breathing changed. She stirred, lifted her head, and blinked. She saw her mother, saw the guards, saw Marcus' pale face. "Oh stars," she whispered, fully awake now. "Mother, wait. Do not move," the Empress said sharply. Saris froze. "Mother," Saris tried again. It's not what you think. Is that so? The Empress said. She stepped closer, her radiant armor glowing brighter with each step. Because what it looks like is a scandal. A betrayal. A diplomatic disaster waiting to explode. Marcus felt panic rising like a wave. This was it. This was how he died. Vaporized on a couch. Your Majesty, he said quickly. Nothing inappropriate happened. The princess was. Saris cut in, her voice strong despite her fear. I asked for his help, she said. Marcus gave me his bed. He took the couch. I couldn't sleep. I panicked. I came to him. He didn't do anything wrong. The Empress shifted her gaze to her daughter. You panicked? She repeated. Her voice cracked, barely noticeable, but Marcus heard it. Saris nodded once. Yes. For how long? Marcus couldn't see the Empress' face from his angle, but he felt the temperature in the room drop. Months, Saris admitted. But I didn't know how to tell you. The guards exchanged stunned glances. The Empress stood still as stone. Then slowly, very slowly, she lowered her shoulders. Guards, she said softly. Leave us. But, Your Majesty, leave us. The room emptied. Silence fell like a heavy blanket. The Empress stepped closer, now only a few feet away. Her eyes were no longer glowing with rage. They were filled with something deeper, older, heavier. Saris swallowed. Mother, The Empress raised a hand, not in anger but in quiet request. Let me speak, she said. Saris fell silent. The Empress turned her gaze to Marcus, who tried not to collapse into dust. Captain Hale, she said. I entered this room ready to execute you, and I am still deciding what I should feel. Marcus nodded too fast. That is very fair. But my daughter, the Empress continued, has never defied protocol to be with someone. Ever. Saris looked down, guilt twisting her expression. I trained her to be strong, the Empress said quietly. To lead. To never show fear. And now I find that while she obeyed every rule I gave her, she learned to hide her suffering. Her voice broke again. Saris' eyes softened. Marcus held still, unsure if he should breathe. Finally, the Empress sat on the edge of the bed, not near Marcus, but near her daughter. Saris, she whispered. You were terrified. And you didn't come to me. You came to him. Saris' voice cracked. Because I didn't want to disappoint you. The Empress closed her eyes. Marcus felt like he was watching a mountain crumble. When she opened them again, her anger was gone. Her power remained. She turned back to Marcus. You, she said. Human diplomat. Did you comfort my daughter without seeking anything in return? Yes, Your Majesty, he said immediately. Absolutely. Completely. I swear. And you asked for no advantage? None. I just didn't want her to feel alone. The Empress exhaled slowly. Then she nodded. Stand, she said. Marcus scrambled to his feet. You will live. His knees almost buckled in relief. She continued. But this situation will have boundaries. Marcus nodded like a frightened child. Boundaries are good. I support boundaries. I love boundaries. Boundaries are my favorite. Saris elbowed him. Marcus, stop talking. Right? Yes. Stopping. The Empress actually smiled, barely. Then her eyes softened as she looked at her daughter. You may choose your own allies, Saris, she said. Even unusual ones. Saris' breath hitched. Thank you, Mother. The Empress stood, her armor shimmering like a living star. But, she added, if anything like this happens again, Captain Hale. Marcus held his breath. Inform the guards first. They can handle heart attacks better than I can. And with that, she left, leaving Marcus and Saris sitting in stunned silence, alive by a miracle, and bound by something new neither of them fully understood yet. For several long seconds after the Empress left, the room stayed completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. It felt like the palace itself was waiting, unsure if the danger was truly gone. Marcus sank back onto the couch, every muscle shaking. He pressed a hand to his chest, half convinced his heart was still trying to run away from his body. Saris sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the closed door. Her silver eyes were wide, stunned, as if she couldn't decide whether to cry or laugh or collapse. Finally, she whispered, I thought she was going to kill you. Marcus let out a weak laugh. I thought she was going to kill me, resurrect me, and kill me again. Saris covered her face with both hands. A tiny, broken sound escaped her. Not quite a sob. Not quite laughter. Something caught in between. Marcus stood slowly and approached her, careful as if approaching a wounded animal. Saris, are you all right? She lowered her hands. Her eyes shone with tears she fought to contain. I didn't want you dragged into my problems, she said. But you stood up for me anyway, even when you had every reason to blame me. Marcus shook his head. I'm your friend. That means something. Even here. Saris looked away, her voice trembling. Friends are a strange idea to someone like me. Everyone in my life is either a guard, a tutor, a political partner, or someone expecting something from me. She clenched her hands. I don't know how to deal with someone who wants nothing from me except to help. Marcus sat beside her. Not too close, but close enough that she didn't feel abandoned. You asked me something real last night, he said, and I gave you a real answer. That's what friends do. They show up when everything feels impossible. Saris inhaled shakily. Did you mean what you said? She asked. About lonely things becoming heavy? Yeah, Marcus said softly. And you've been carrying too much alone. That was all it took. The last wall inside Saris cracked. Her breath shook again, and she finally let the tears fall. She tried to hide her face, but Marcus gently shook his head. You don't have to hide, he said. Not with me. That made her cry harder, but it was the kind of crying that sounded like years of pressure finally breaking open. I thought I had to be perfect every second, she whispered. Every breath. Every step. I thought if I expected less from myself, the whole dominion would collapse. Marcus listened in quiet understanding. You're allowed to need people, Saris. Even rulers do. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand and let out a weak laugh. My mother walked in and saw me curled against you. On a couch. That thing might be the most humiliating part. Marcus snorted. Trust me, if I could choose the furniture for my near execution, I'd pick something less angry. The couch, in response, creaked in offense. Saris laughed, actually laughed, through her tears. The sound was small at first, then brighter. A sound that made the tension in Marcus' chest ease. When she finally calmed down, she looked at him with a softness he had never seen from her before. I owe you my life, she whispered. Marcus shook his head. No, you don't. You owe me breakfast. Because after almost dying, I'm starving. Saris blinked, stunned. Then she smiled. A real, warm smile that made the whole palace seem brighter. You humans are impossible. Thank you. I take that as a compliment. She stood and brushed off her nightclothes, trying to restore some dignity. It didn't quite work, but she looked more like herself, less tense, less hollow. Marcus, she said quietly, you gave me something more valuable than safety. What's that? Choice. She placed a hand over her heart. The choice to be a person, not a crown. For a moment, Marcus wasn't sure what to say. No one had ever told him something like that. Then Saris added, and I choose you. As my friend. Marcus smiled. Then I choose you too. The room felt lighter. The danger had not completely vanished. Politics never did. But something inside Saris had changed. Something inside Marcus too. They were no longer a princess and a diplomat trying not to break rules. They were two lonely souls who had finally found someone who understood. And somewhere in the palace halls, a new kind of trouble was waking. Because friendship, real friendship, changes everything. Especially between a human and the heir to a galactic empire. The sun of Aurelia 9 rose slowly, turning the crystal walls of the palace gold. Light poured into Marcus' room like warm water filling a quiet pool. The dangers of the night still lingered in the air, but the morning brought a strange, shaky peace. Saris stood near the window, her hair glowing in the soft light. She looked calmer now, tired, but calmer. Marcus stretched, wincing as the couch groaned under him. I think this thing tried to kill me while I slept. Saris smiled faintly. If it planned to murder you, I would have heard. The palace furniture whispers. That's horrifying, Marcus said. And also explains the nightmares. She laughed softly. It was still surprising to see her laugh so easily. Last night had changed something deep inside her, even if she didn't fully understand what yet. Are you ready for breakfast? Saris asked. You did survive an empress at dawn. You deserve food. Please, Marcus said. If I don't eat soon, I'll faint. And someone will assume it's diplomacy related. Saris crossed her arms with a hint of mischief. You humans faint? Only on dramatic occasions, Marcus said. We like to leave an impression. When Saris opened the door, 2 palace guards stood outside, stiff, serious, and pretending they had not heard every sound from the night before. Their armor gleamed like polished dawn. Princess Saris. Captain Hale, one guard said. Are you both well? Marcus gave a cheerful wave. Still alive. Always a good sign. The guard tried not to react, but a tiny twitch betrayed his confusion. Saris leaned toward Marcus and whispered, "Mother probably ordered them to watch the door in case we traumatized each other again." Marcus nearly choked. Traumatized? That's one word for it. They walked together through the palace corridors. Morning lights glowed from the ceilings, and delicate bird-like drones drifted by, carrying scrolls and messages. The place was beautiful, but Marcus could still feel last night's fear echoing off the walls. Saris glanced sideways at him. "My mother. She left without punishing you. That is new. She rarely leaves anyone unpunished for anything. Should I be proud?" Marcus asked. "I haven't decided," she replied. "But she smiled last night. I saw it." Marcus stumbled. "She smiled? Your mother? The one who nearly vaporized me?" "Yes," Saris said. "She was standing outside the door longer than you think." He stared at her. She was listening? She always listens. Marcus's knees weakened. "I need that breakfast faster." They entered the dining hall, a long, elegant room with tables carved from living wood that slowly shifted patterns as if breathing. Sunlight reflected off the plates, making the whole room shimmer. A serving drone floated to them. "What would you like for breakfast?" "Something edible," Marcus said. "Something sweet," Saris added. "And something that won't attack us." The drone paused, confused. It eventually produced 2 plates of warm pastries and a glowing drink that smelled like honey and starlight. Marcus took a bite and nearly sighed. "This tastes like happiness." "That is because it is 90% sugar," Saris said, taking a delicate bite of her own. As they ate, Saris' face grew thoughtful. "Marcus, my mother said something last night. She said I could choose my own allies." Marcus nodded. "That's good." "It's more than good," Saris said. "It means she trusts me. She hasn't said that since I was a child." He watched her carefully. "You think things will change?" he asked. Saris stared at the glowing plate, eyes distant. "I don't know, but I want them to." Then she gave him a small, shy smile. "And I want you to remain part of those changes." Marcus felt warmth spread through him. It was strange. He had come to Aurelian 9 to negotiate treaties, not to matter to someone who carried the weight of an empire. "Of course," he said. "You're stuck with me." Saris relaxed at his words, like she'd been waiting for them. "Good," she whispered. They finished breakfast quietly, but it wasn't the heavy silence of earlier. This one felt full of possibilities, full of trust, full of something new that neither knew how to name yet. As they stood to leave, Marcus placed a hand on the table. "I should tell you something." Saris looked up quickly. "What is it?" "I'm still terrified of your mother." She burst into laughter, sharp, bright, real. "Good," she said. "That means you're sane." They walked out of the dining hall together, 2 unlikely friends moving through a palace that suddenly felt less cold and more alive. But neither of them knew that new whispers were moving through the palace. New rumors. New eyes watching them. Not everyone was pleased that the human diplomat and the future empress had formed a dangerous new bond. And trouble was already forming in the shadows. Marcus and Saris walked back through the palace corridors after breakfast, feeling lighter than they had any right to feel. The halls glowed with soft golden light. Servants moved quietly in the distance. Everything looked peaceful. But peace in a palace like this was never real. Not for long. As they approached the transport lift, a soft chime echoed through the corridor. A calm voice spoke from the ceiling. "Princess Saris Vaylor. Captain Marcus Hale. You are requested in the council atrium by order of the imperial court." Saris froze. Marcus stiffened. "That's not normal," Marcus whispered. Saris nodded slowly. "The court only summons people together when something important, or dangerous, is happening." Marcus swallowed. "Which one do you think this is?" She didn't answer. They stepped into the lift. It rose through the palace like a drop of light moving through a crystal vein. As the doors opened, Marcus was met with a room far larger than he expected. The council atrium was a circular chamber with 30 representatives, strategists, generals, advisors, standing in a ring of glowing platforms. The Empress stood at the center, radiating power and command. Every eye turned to Marcus and Saris. Marcus felt like a rabbit walking into a room full of hawks. The Empress lifted her hand. Silence fell instantly. "Saris." "Marcus." "Step forward." Saris held her head high. A princess again, but Marcus could see the nervous tremor in her fingers. He stepped with her, matching her pace. The Empress studied them both. Last night, she began, I saw something unexpected, something that concerns more than just the two of you. She paused. You formed a bond. Marcus froze. A bond? What did she mean by that? But the Empress continued. A human and the future Empress of the Dominion, finding trust in each other. Her voice softened slightly. It is unusual. The advisors around the room whispered sharply. A few frowned. A few eyed Marcus with open suspicion. Sarah stepped forward. Mother, if this is about public image, I'll handle it. It is not about image, the Empress said. It is about danger. Everyone fell silent. The Empress raised a hand. A hologram flickered to life beside her, an image of a coded message intercepted by palace security. Marcus recognized the symbol. He'd seen it during the peace negotiations. The Iron Circle, a hostile faction. The Empress spoke. We intercepted this message hours ago. It speaks of a plan to sabotage the peace treaty by targeting my daughter. Her eyes hardened, and the human who has gained her trust. Marcus felt the bottom of his stomach drop. They think, the Empress continued, that harming either of you could break the fragile peace we have built. The council erupted in angry murmurs. Sarah stepped forward quickly. Mother, Marcus has nothing to do with this. The Empress cut her off. He does now. Marcus blinked. I do. Yes, the Empress said. Because they believe you matter to her. And therefore, they believe harming you will shake her. Sarah inhaled sharply. Marcus's heart slammed into his ribs. The Empress stepped closer, lowering her voice. Last night proved something to me. You two are stronger together than apart. My daughter has few people she trusts. I will not tear that away from her. The room gasped. Even Sarah stared in shock. The Empress continued. But understand this. Your bond changes the shape of our politics. It forces the court to reconsider alliances, security, and even the future throne. There will be pressure. There will be suspicion. There will be danger. She paused, then looked directly at Marcus. Captain Hale, are you prepared for that burden? Marcus opened his mouth. No words came out. He thought about Earth, his old life, his safe, predictable missions. He thought about Sarah's trembling in his arms the night before, about her laughing for the first time in years, about how she looked at him like he was the first person who truly saw her. Finally, Marcus spoke. I don't know if I'm ready, he said honestly. But I know this, Sarah is my friend, and I won't walk away from her. Sarah looked at him with a warmth that shook him to his core. The Empress nodded slowly. Then you stand together. The council murmured again, some approving, some worried, some furious. The Empress raised her hand for silence. From this moment forward, she declared, you are both under my protection, and under my watch. Her eyes glinted. Because the Iron Circle will act soon. And when they do, neither of you will face them alone. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Sarah stepped closer to him, their shoulders almost touching. Looks like we're in this together now, she whispered. Marcus gave her a shaky smile. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. The Empress studied the two of them, human and air, standing side by side against the galaxy. Then she said something that made every advisor freeze. Prepare yourselves. The next threat will not come quietly. The room darkened. Alarms pulsed in the distance. A cold wind moved through the atrium like a warning from the universe. This was not the end. This was the beginning. Of trouble. Of danger. Of something far greater than either of them had expected. Marcus felt the change like gravity shifting around him. Sarah stood tall, her silver eyes glowing with resolve. Together, they stepped forward into whatever came next.